There's something extraordinary about a confident woman. She doesn't need to announce her power. It's felt in the way she walks, speaks, and carries herself. Confidence isn't about being louder than others. It's about being deeply comfortable in your own silence. It's not about showing the world what you have, but knowing who you are when no one is watching. A confident woman doesn't wear arrogance as her crown. She wears grace as her armor. She's the kind of woman who has fought battles you know nothing about and still smiles as if she's never been wounded. You see, confidence doesn't come from applause. It comes from acceptance. When she finally accepts that she is enough, she stops chasing validation from those who could never value her worth. She understands that real power isn't found in control, but in peace. When the world tries to shake her, she doesn't fight every storm. She learns to dance in the rain. And that's the difference between someone who seeks approval and someone who stands in truth. Confidence is not shouting, "Look at me." It's whispering, "I'm here," and letting your presence speak for itself. It's not in the makeup she wears, but in the courage she carries. It's not in her titles, but in her values. So, to every woman listening today, remember, the world doesn't need a perfect woman. It needs a confident one, the one who knows her worth, values her peace, and moves forward with kindness and purpose. Her confidence is not in being better than others. It's in being better than who she was yesterday. Confidence is quiet strength. It doesn't demand attention. It earns it. A confident woman doesn't need to shout to be heard. Her calm presence speaks volumes. She walks into a room and people notice. Not because she's trying to be seen, but because her energy is grounded. There's something powerful about a woman who carries herself with quiet assurance, who doesn't need to explain or prove her worth. She knows that true confidence isn't about dominating others, it's about mastering yourself. You can feel the difference between someone who's loud because they're insecure and someone who's silent because they're at peace. The woman who's truly confident doesn't need to fill every silence with words or every space with her presence. Her strength lies in her ability to be still, composed, and certain of who she is. She's learned that calmness is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the maturity that comes when you faced chaos and no longer let it define you. This quiet confidence comes from a journey within. It's not something you're born with. It's something you build. Through every heartbreak, rejection, and challenge, she learns that noise fades but truth remains. When she stopped trying to convince others of her worth, she started to feel it within herself. That's when everything changed. She began to understand that power isn't found in being the loudest voice in the room. It's found in being the one who listens, observes, and acts with intention. A confident woman has a softness that doesn't break and a silence that doesn't weaken her. When people misunderstand her calmness as indifference, She doesn't rush to defend herself. She knows that confidence doesn't require explanation. She's no longer reactive to every opinion or judgment. She's learned the art of selective silence, the ability to respond only when it matters and to let go when it doesn't. This strength makes her magnetic. People are drawn to her because she radiates peace in a world addicted to noise. She becomes a reminder that confidence is not measured by how loud you can be, but by how deeply you can stand in your truth. Her stillness unsettles the insecure because it reveals what they lack: self-trust. And yet, she remains kind. Her quiet strength is never used to make others feel small. Instead, it lifts others up. She knows that confidence without compassion becomes arrogance, and she refuses to let her strength turn cold. Her calm doesn't distance her from others. It grounds her enough to connect meaningfully. Every time life throws chaos her way, she takes a deep breath and responds with grace. Not because she's unaffected, but because she's mastered the art of balance. She knows storms don't last forever, but how you carry yourself through them defines your character. Her quiet confidence becomes her shield. It protects her from doubt, fear, and negativity. In a world where everyone is shouting to be noticed, she teaches that silence can be the loudest roar. She shows that true confidence doesn't come from being seen. It comes from being secure. She doesn't seek validation. She gives herself permission to be enough. And that's the kind of confidence that not only changes her life, it inspires everyone around her. A confident woman values who she is without needing constant validation from others. She understands that approval is a never-ending chase that leads nowhere. When she was younger, she might have tried to please everyone, changing her tone, her look, even her dreams, just to fit in. But one day she realized that living for others is a slow way to forget yourself. That's when she stopped seeking validation and started creating her own definition of worth. Validation feels good, no doubt. We all like to be appreciated, admired, and seen. But when it becomes the foundation of who you are, it weakens you. A confident woman knows that her worth is not dependent on likes, compliments, or applause. She appreciates recognition, but she no longer craves it. She's learned that the moment you depend on external validation, you hand over the power to define you. And she refuses to let anyone else hold that power. Her confidence is built on self-awareness. She has taken the time to know her strengths and accept her flaws. She knows what she brings to the table, and she's not afraid to sit alone if needed. She doesn't shrink herself to make others comfortable, and she doesn't inflate her ego to prove her value. Instead, she stands firm in quiet dignity, knowing that self-worth is not something you get. It's something you decide. There are times when people misunderstand her confidence for arrogance, but she doesn't waste her energy explaining herself. She knows who she is and what she stands for. That inner certainty protects her from the need to perform for approval. When people praise her, she's grateful When they criticize her, she listens but doesn't crumble, because she knows that opinions change, but self-respect must remain constant. A confident woman doesn't compare her journey with others. She understands that every person is walking a different path, facing unique challenges and victories. She doesn't let the filtered perfection of social media make her question her worth. Instead, she measures success by growth, peace, and authenticity. Her validation comes from within, from the feeling of being aligned with her purpose and values. She has learned to validate herself through her actions. Every time she keeps a promise to herself, every time she chooses integrity over popularity, every time she says no when her heart says no, she strengthens her self-worth. She doesn't need others to remind her that she's enough, because she tells herself that every day through the way she lives. And because she no longer chases approval, she moves through life with calm confidence. She's not easily manipulated by flattery or broken by rejection. Her emotions are steady because her worth is steady. This kind of self-assurance makes her radiant. She doesn't need to seek attention. It finds her naturally. The beauty of such a woman lies in her authenticity. She doesn't need to pretend or wear masks to be accepted. She's comfortable being herself. In every setting, with every person, her confidence comes not from perfection, but from the courage to be real. She values herself not because the world says she should, but because she has finally learned that she already is enough. She wears humility and grace, not arrogance or pride. A confident woman understands that real power never needs to shout or look down on others. Her strength doesn't make her hard, and her achievements don't make her forget where she came from. She knows that true confidence isn't about being above others. It's about standing tall without making anyone else feel small. Humility for her is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the understanding that no matter how far she goes, she still has room to grow. There's a quiet charm about a woman who succeeds with grace. She can be powerful, intelligent, and accomplished, yet still kind and respectful. She listens before she speaks. She appreciates others' perspectives without needing to prove she's always right. That balance between strength and softness is what makes her unforgettable. Her humility doesn't take away from her confidence. It amplifies it. Because people don't just admire her for what she achieves, they respect her for how she carries it. Arrogance, on the other hand, comes from insecurity. Those who boast the loudest often fear being unseen. But a confident woman doesn't need to advertise her worth. She lets her actions, consistency, and integrity speak for her. She's not competing with anyone because she knows her path is her own. When others around her win, she doesn't feel threatened, she feels inspired. That's the power of a woman who's confident enough to celebrate others while staying grounded in her own light. Grace is her natural state, even when things go wrong. She knows that life isn't always fair, and people aren't always kind. But she refuses to let bitterness take over her heart. When faced with disrespect, she doesn't lower herself to revenge or resentment. Instead, she responds with calm dignity. Her grace is not about letting people walk over her. It's about walking away with her peace intact. She understands that her reaction defines her character more than the situation itself. When she makes mistakes, and she does, she owns them. She apologizes when she's wrong, learns, and grows. That's humility in motion. She doesn't pretend to have all the answers or to be flawless. Her confidence allows her to be honest about her imperfections because she knows they don't reduce her worth. In fact, they make her human and relatable. Her grace shows in the little things too. The way she treats people who can't offer her anything in return. The way she listens without judgment. The way she gives credit where it's due. She knows that every person she meets carries a story, and she treats them with respect. This quiet kindness is what makes her presence healing. People feel safe around her because she doesn't need to prove her superiority. She simply lives her truth. The beauty of her humility is that it doesn't dim her confidence. It deepens it. She walks with her head held high, not because she thinks she's better than anyone, but because she knows she doesn't need to compete. Her grace is her power. Her humility is her crown. And together, they create a kind of strength that is both rare and timeless. A strength that inspires, uplifts, and leaves a lasting mark on everyone she meets. True confidence is born from self-acceptance, not from external approval. A confident woman has learned that peace begins the moment she stops chasing everyone's permission to be herself. She once tried to fit into every expectation, to be the perfect daughter, the perfect friend, the perfect professional. But perfection, she discovered, is a trap built by fear. It drains your energy and distances you from your true self. The day she chose to accept who she truly is, with her flaws, scars, and unique rhythm, was the day her confidence began to bloom. Self-acceptance doesn't mean she thinks she's perfect. It means she finally understands that she doesn't need to be. It's the gentle acknowledgement that she's a work in progress, and that's perfectly okay. She no longer hides her imperfections behind filters or forced smiles. Instead, she embraces them as part of her story. Every setback, every heartbreak, every failure has shaped her into the woman she is today. She doesn't erase those chapters. She honors them because they've given her wisdom that success alone never could. External approval is temporary. It shifts with opinions, moods, and trends. But self-acceptance is stable. It anchors her. She no longer wakes up wondering who will approve of her choices or validate her emotions. She makes peace with her reflection in the mirror. She knows her worth doesn't depend on a number on a scale, a promotion at work, or the validation of someone she loves. Her worth is constant, unshakable, and self-owned. She understands that when you live for approval, you're never free. You become a prisoner to every opinion, constantly adjusting yourself to make others happy. But the moment you accept yourself fully, you break that chain. You start living authentically, even if not everyone agrees with you. She's learned that not everyone will like her, and that's not her problem to fix. Her only responsibility is to be real, not perfect. This kind of confidence radiates differently. It's not boastful or defensive. It's peaceful. People can sense when someone has made peace with themselves. Her energy feels effortless because she's not trying to prove anything. When others criticize her, she listens but doesn't internalize it. When they praise her, she's thankful but doesn't depend on it. Her sense of self isn't built on a shaky foundation of approval. It's built on truth. Through self-acceptance, she's also kinder to herself. She no longer punishes herself for her past or compares her journey to others. She's patient with her growth, gentle with her healing, and forgiving of her mistakes. She treats herself like someone she loves. And because of that, she treats others with more compassion too. Her confidence doesn't create distance. It creates connection because authenticity attracts authenticity. She knows that the world might not always understand her choices, and that's fine. What matters is that she understands herself. Every time she chooses self-acceptance over self-criticism, she strengthens her foundation. Every time she stands firm in her truth, she reclaims her power. This is what makes her confident, not the applause she receives, but the peace she feels when she no longer needs it. She doesn't compete to be noticed. She contributes to make a difference. A confident woman has reached a point where she no longer seeks to outshine others. She seeks to inspire them. She understands that true success isn't about being the only one at the top, but about lifting others as she rises. In a world obsessed with comparison, she chooses collaboration. While others are busy proving their worth, she's busy adding value. Her focus is not on being better than someone else, but on being useful, purposeful, and impactful in whatever she does. This mindset didn't come overnight. She learned through experience that competition, driven by ego, leads to emptiness. There were times she pushed herself to be seen, to prove she belonged. But the applause always faded, and the satisfaction never lasted. One day she realized that being noticed doesn't equal being fulfilled. She decided that instead of chasing the spotlight, she would become the light. That's when everything changed. Her goals, her attitude, and her peace. When she walks into a room, she doesn't ask, "How can I stand out?" She asks, "How can I add value here?" Whether it's her workplace, her family, or her community, she brings sincerity, empathy, and action. She doesn't need to compete for space because she creates her own. Her quiet confidence allows her to focus on contribution rather than competition. That's what makes her stand out naturally without even trying. She believes that everyone has something unique to offer. Instead of feeling threatened by other women's success, she celebrates it. She knows that another woman's victory doesn't diminish her own, It expands what's possible. This perspective makes her powerful yet peaceful. She's not racing anyone. She's walking her own path with intention. She has learned that when you focus on growth instead of comparison, your progress becomes steady and meaningful. Her confidence allows her to share knowledge, not hoard it. She mentors others, supports her peers, and encourages those who doubt themselves. She doesn't view others as competition, but as collaborators in the same journey of becoming. This selfless attitude draws respect, not fear. People trust her because she leads with heart, not ego. And the beautiful thing about contributing is that it multiplies impact. When she helps others grow, she grows too. There's a calm wisdom in her approach to success. She doesn't measure it by how many people notice her, but by how many lives she touches. Every small act of kindness, every thoughtful gesture, every moment she chooses empathy over envy, these are her victories. She's not chasing recognition, but leaving behind quiet ripples of inspiration wherever she goes. And when the world becomes noisy with competition and comparison, she remains centered. She doesn't let jealousy cloud her purpose. She knows that comparison is a thief of peace, and that her journey is unique for a reason. So, she keeps giving, creating, and growing, trusting that her light will shine exactly where it's meant to. In the end, she's remembered not for how loud she was or how many titles she held, but for how deeply she touched others' lives. Her confidence doesn't demand attention, it creates change. She doesn't compete for applause, she contributes for purpose. And that's what makes her truly unforgettable. Her power lies not in control, but in maintaining inner peace amidst chaos. A confident woman has learned that true strength is not about controlling everything around her. It's about mastering her response to what happens. She knows she cannot always predict the storms of life, but she can control how she sails through them. When life throws challenges her way, she doesn't panic, complain, or lose herself in the noise. Instead, she pauses, breathes, and responds with calm clarity. That's her quiet superpower, grace under pressure. There was a time she believed control meant safety. She tried to manage everything, her plans, her people, her outcomes. But life, with its unpredictability, taught her a different lesson. No matter how well you plan, things don't always go your way. People change, situations shift, and sometimes the ground beneath your feet moves without warning. It was only when she stopped trying to control every detail that she discovered peace. Real power, she realized, is not in forcing life to bend her way, it's in adapting without losing herself. Her peace comes from acceptance. Acceptance that some things are beyond her reach, that not every answer is immediate, and that not every loss is failure. She no longer resists what she cannot change. She focuses her energy on what she can. When problems arise, she doesn't let emotions take the lead. She listens to her intuition, assesses the situation, and moves with wisdom. Her calmness isn't a sign of indifference. It's the mark of someone who's been through enough storms to know that panic never solves anything. Even in relationships, she doesn't try to control others. She gives people the space to be themselves. She understands that love, friendship, and respect cannot be forced. She values freedom, hers and others. Her peace comes from detaching from the need to control outcomes, trusting that what's meant for her will always find its way. This trust allows her to live with less anxiety and more faith. The world may see her as serene, but her calm is not the absence of struggle. It's the result of deep discipline. She has trained her mind to remain steady when everything around her wavers. She meditates, reflects, and takes time to recharge. She prioritizes her mental and emotional well-being because she knows that's where her true power resides. When chaos knocks on her door, she doesn't let it live rent-free in her mind. People often wonder how she stays composed when everything seems to be falling apart. It's because she's made peace her priority. She's learned that protecting her peace is not selfish, it's necessary. Without peace, she cannot think clearly, love fully, or lead wisely. So she guards it fiercely, setting boundaries, walking away from negativity, and refusing to engage in unnecessary drama. Her power doesn't come from how loudly she reacts, but from how gracefully she responds. She's not a puppet to circumstances, she's the calm within them. That serenity makes her unshakable. Even when storms rage, she remains grounded, knowing that peace isn't found in perfect conditions. It's created within the heart that refuses to be disturbed. And that's where her true strength lies, not in controlling life, but in mastering herself amidst it. She embraces her imperfections, understanding they make her real and relatable. A confident woman knows that perfection is an illusion, a mask that hides authenticity. For a long time, she might have tried to be flawless, thinking that if she looked perfect, acted perfect, and never made mistakes, she'd finally feel accepted. But perfection always comes at the cost of peace. It demands too much and gives too little. One day she realized that the cracks in her character, the flaws in her journey, and the mistakes she made were not signs of weakness. They were proof that she was human, learning, and growing. When she stopped fighting her imperfections, something beautiful happened. She began to heal. She no longer looked at her reflection with criticism. She looked with compassion. The scars she once tried to hide became reminders of strength. Every failure taught her resilience. Every rejection built her patience. And every flaw reminded her that beauty lies in truth, not in perfection. She understood that embracing imperfection doesn't mean settling for less. It means accepting yourself fully while still striving to grow. In a world obsessed with filters, edited lives, and curated perfection, her honesty stands out. She doesn't pretend to have it all together. She's not afraid to admit when she's struggling, confused or unsure. That vulnerability doesn't make her weak, it makes her relatable. People are drawn to her not because she's perfect, but because she's real. Her authenticity gives others permission to breathe, to be themselves, and to realize that imperfection is not failure, it's freedom. She's learned that chasing perfection only leads to exhaustion. It keeps you constantly fixing, hiding, and apologizing for being human. So now she celebrates progress instead of perfection. She's kinder to herself when she makes mistakes. She forgives herself when she falls short. She reminds herself that growth is messy and healing takes time. That's why she's patient with her journey. She knows that every stage, even the painful ones, is shaping her into who she's meant to be. Her imperfections also make her empathetic. Because she's fallen, she understands others who stumble. Because she's been judged, she refuses to judge. Her compassion grows from the soil of her own struggles. Instead of pretending to be untouchable, she reaches out with warmth and understanding. She doesn't see flaws in others as faults, but as parts of their humanity. This depth makes her magnetic. People feel seen and accepted in her presence because she accepts herself. When she faces criticism, she doesn't crumble. She knows she's not everyone's idea of perfect, and that's perfectly fine. She doesn't seek approval from those who misunderstand her journey. Instead, she focuses on being genuine. Her worth doesn't come from flawless execution, but from honest effort. She's not afraid to say, "I don't know," or "I'm learning." That humility, paired with courage, makes her presence powerful and peaceful. By embracing her imperfections, she's learned to live lighter. She no longer hides behind masks or fears failure. She's discovered that the most beautiful thing she can be is herself, unfiltered, imperfect, and true. Her authenticity shines brighter than any illusion of perfection ever could. And in her acceptance of her flaws, she becomes a mirror for others, a reminder that confidence doesn't come from being flawless, but from loving yourself, even when you're not. Confidence is not about having it all together. It's about showing up even when you don't. The essence of genuine confidence lies in resilience, not perfection. A confident woman recognizes that strength is not measured by how flawlessly she navigates life, but by her ability to keep moving despite uncertainty, fear, or imperfection. She understands that waiting until every circumstance is ideal means waiting forever. Instead, she chooses to act with courage even when doubt whispers in her ear. This deliberate decision to move forward amid imperfection is what separates authenticity from performance. In moments of challenge, she does not disguise her vulnerability. She faces it with composure, allowing herself to feel discomfort without being ruled by it. When plans fail or life becomes unpredictable, she maintains her commitment to progress. Her confidence is not a shield that prevents her from falling. It is the mindset that allows her to rise again. She views setbacks as data, not defeat, as information that guides her evolution rather than evidence of inadequacy. This pragmatic understanding enables her to refine her strategies, build endurance, and sustain momentum even under pressure. Professionally and personally, she acknowledges that competence develops through consistent engagement, not through the illusion of flawlessness. Each experience, success or failure, contributes to her learning curve. She has cultivated emotional intelligence, enabling her to manage stress and uncertainty without allowing them to distort her sense of purpose. She exhibits composure not because life is easy, but because she has mastered the art of remaining stable amid difficulty. This stability communicates quiet authority and earns trust from those around her. When she steps into new opportunities, she does not wait for absolute confidence to appear. She acts, understanding that confidence grows through action, not preparation alone. Every time she confronts a challenge she does not feel fully ready for, she expands her capacity for courage. Over time, these repeated acts of bravery accumulate into self-assurance. She learns that showing up imperfectly is infinitely more valuable than waiting to appear flawless. Her approach to uncertainty is methodical rather than impulsive. She evaluates risks, makes informed decisions, and accepts responsibility for the outcomes. This accountability reinforces her credibility and deepens her self-respect. She has learned that authenticity is more compelling than artificial perfection. People trust those who admit to not having all the answers, but demonstrate a willingness to learn. The confident woman also practices self-compassion. She recognizes that exhaustion and doubt are part of the human experience, not signs of weakness. When she falters, she does not engage in self-criticism, but in reflection, identifying what can be improved without diminishing her worth. This approach maintains psychological balance and prevents burnout. Ultimately, her confidence is built on consistency, not control. She shows up, sometimes uncertain, sometimes afraid, but always determined. Her perseverance becomes her defining characteristic. She proves that confidence is not the absence of fear or imperfection, but the decision to move forward in spite of them. Through this unwavering commitment to presence and persistence, she transforms vulnerability into strength and uncertainty into power.